So good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are very happy to welcome you to the 7th edition of the Vacuum Transport Seminar. My name is Andrea, and in the name of all the co-founders and hosts, we welcome you. Namely, this is Eurotube and Swissloop from ETH Zurich side, and the University of Applied Science in Den Leer, the University Oldenburg, TUM Hyperloop, and the Technical University of Munich. So we'd like to kick off this session with a short introduction round of all of us, so all the hosts and contributors, and to give you an overview of who we are and how we came together, and what the goal of the seminar is and how it works. And we also have our first Insight talk tonight. Yes, so on the website, you can see our schedule. It's vacuumtransport.org, as you can see on the slide. And there you also have a link to all of our past talks, since we record every seminar. And there you can review those. Basically, we have 2 talks in every seminar, and after every talk, we have an exchange round. So this year, we are gonna do it directly on Zoom, so we can use the Q&A function, which is integrated in Zoom already. So let's start with Swissloop. So that's the organization which I am from. So we are a student team at ETH Zurich, and we do research on Hyperloop prototypes and track. So we build a new prototype every year, and we focus on different motors and levitation systems. And we take part in international competitions. So we started with the SpaceX competition, and since 2 years, we take part in the European Hyperloop Week. And we are in very close contact to sponsors from the industry, which help us with our prototypes, but all the engineering and the development is in-house by our students. We are usually a team of around 35 students, which help build the prototypes. And we are also a focus project, so we are a part of the mechanical and electrical engineering studies. So this slide is an overview of the teams. So you can see our Swissloop was funded in 2016. That's also where we started to compete at the SpaceX competitions until 2019. And since 2020, we take part at the European Hyperloop Week and still ongoing. On this slide, you can see a little bit of the history of Swissloop. So in 2016, we started with a cold gas propulsion system. And in 2017, we had basically 4 electric motors in every wheel, as in an electric car. And since in 2018 to 2020, we were doing research on linear induction motors. And in also 2020 was our first pod which levitated, which was also the first student pod who could actually levitate. And since last year, we are researching on linear reluctance motors, which we are continuing this season as well. The pod of this year is still in progress, and it's a little surprise, but you can see it at the European Hyperloop Week this year in July. So yes. And also Swissloop is offering theses in a large variety. So in different research topics in the field of vacuum transport, students, either bachelor or master students, can write their thesis. Either they have their own topic and work independently, or they can also write their thesis on a specific subsystem and be part of the active team. It can be either technical or also economical topics. And if you want to know more about it, you can also have a look on our website. And with that, I would like to give the word to Daniel, who will give you a quick introduction of EuroTube.
Thank you very much, Andrea, for the short introduction. My name is Daniel. I have the pleasure to represent EuroTube today. EuroTube is, maybe you already have heard about it. We started our activities already in 2017. We are a small team of 14 full-time employees here based in the Great Zurich area. And we are an institute of national importance, considered by the Swiss federal authorities as a research institute. Our three main pillars are relying on the first hand side of research and development. Our main focus is to provide open, accessible research test facilities where companies or also Hyperloop teams can conduct research on their vehicles. Then on the other hand side, we are an incubator and transfer platform for technology. With this said, we work closely with ETH Zurich and with academia, closing the bridge between fundamental research, which is being conducted in universities, and trying to transfer it and apply it into the industry. Last but not least, we are also involved into certification and regulation efforts, where we are part of the JTC 20 Standard Committee, and thus try to frame out a regulatory work environment where on a European level, Hyperloop can be realized. Andrea, you can go to the next slide, thanks. Looking at our mission and roadmap, we are currently focusing on the so-called DemoTube. DemoTube is a low-speed test track in the Great Zurich area, where we would like to validate the way we construct infrastructure. This is a 120-meter test track. The future goal would be to test the high speeds we encounter in such a technology with the AlphaTube test track, which is located in valleys. And thus here, looking ahead, we are continuing with the permit process. Parallel to these efforts on the technological side, in the team we have 3 or 4 team members which are focusing on digital models, which we call the TwinTube, which are, let's say, trying to predict potential future routes in the European network and see which cities would make sense to connect with such a technology, taking into account passenger demands, energy consumption, and exactly landscape availability. If we go to the next slide, we can also see that this is also, as Andrea was mentioning before, EuroTube as a non-profit organization and provider of a platform for education and institute. We are also offering thesis and semester projects, which are being conducted between academia and then industrial partners. So with this regard, in case you are interested in boosting your master thesis on Hyperloop or having the first step into this new mean of technology, do not hesitate to contact us. With this said, I would like to pass the word to Lucas.
Thank you very much. Also a warm welcome from our side here at the Institute of Hyperloop Technology. We've grown out of the competitions as well, as you can see from the University of Oldenburg and the University of Applied Sciences and Leer. It's always nice to see those old connections and get them together again. On the one side, we are now putting Hyperloop into use in the curriculum. So we are also having a few courses and studies on Hyperloop as well. And we are doing some research and development of Hyperloop applications in some broader frameworks within the European Union and projects of the European Union or other member states. On the next slide, you can see one of the few projects that we are working on. One of them, for example, is the European Hyperloop Technology Center, where we are working on the feasibility of converting the large-scale test infrastructure that is available in Emsland and Laten into a Hyperloop test facility. It's a 32-kilometer test track. We'll come to that later again. Then we'll work within a European framework, also in the Epicenter project, where we are looking at the impact of new technologies on trade routes and cargo shipping, especially. And there is a use case that we are looking at for Hyperloop. And then we, of course, also part of the Hyperloop development program from the Dutch government. On the next slide, you can see one of our projects, for example, Epicenter. We've just shown this demonstrator here that you can see on the right at the fair in Hanover, at the Hannover Messe, where we are looking at intermodal transportation, connecting Hyperloop in a logistics service park to other modes, and then shipping those standard boxes that are used here into the VW automotive plant in Wolfsburg from VW. So that's for one of the projects we have. Another project you can see on the next slide is the large-scale test infrastructure here, the 32-kilometer test track that I mentioned in Laten, where we're looking into what's the feasibility of converting that into a Hyperloop test facility. Because it's there, it would be more feasible to convert this test facility than to set it up anywhere else in Europe. So the goal would be to have this 32 kilometers continuous test track. You can do continuous testing in this test track, convert that into a European facility at the end. We've also had a lot of good feedback already from the Commission, and we are progressing on with everybody who wants to contribute to that project. And on the next slide, I've just listed a QR code for every one of you who also wants to visit our website. As Daniel also said beforehand, there's a lot of student projects all of the hosts here are providing. So in case you want to write a student thesis, also in one of the EU projects that we have, for example, the Epicenter project, or here the HDP, just give us a short email. We are happy to put you up with any of those projects we are working on, writing a few papers, going to conferences. It's pretty fun to do science right now, again, when you can start traveling, going to conferences, and then also write your students' thesis, do some projects with us. So open invitation to everybody, go and join the work on Hyperloop. And let's go on to the next slide, because there we'll learn for TUM Hyperloop, and I think Dominik is here to present TUM Hyperloop today.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, Dominik Radek is my name. I'm technical lead of TUM Hyperloop, and I'm very pleased to present a bit of what we're doing today. So maybe you can already go to the next slide. We used to participate in the competition at SpaceX until 2019, and were quite successful there. And in 2019, we then decided to build the Hyperloop in full scale and in the range we can do it, and that's what you can see on the next slide. So what we're currently working on is a full-scale demonstrator. It's a 24-meter long concrete tube with a passenger-sized Hyperloop capsule, implementing all the necessary functionalities like levitation, propulsion, vacuum, and also safety. So everything will be certified for passenger transport. Here you can still see a rendering. Actually, the entire tube is already there at our facility. We already did the vacuum testing and are currently in the process of levitation propulsion tests. And also planning to unveil everything by mid of this year. This is what we are working on day and night with a pretty large team, 10 PhDs and almost 100 students working on this, giving our best to make the thing reality. On the next slide, you can see a bit about the next steps. So we already, during competition time, we built a small ring out of a concrete tube, vacuum tube, to basically show the feasibility. And then currently we are in this full-scale phase. We built this first segment, and then the idea is in the next 2.5, 3 years to build more of those segments up to a 1 kilometer track. And then the end goal is, or not the end goal, the goal we need to actually get to a commercial route will then be a reference track, we call it, where we can also show the full speed. Yeah, and then we already get to our last slide. Basically, what we're showing there is that currently also what we're doing next to building the stuff is we are having also a large focus on the things we can't build right now. And this is how we see it, a lot of economic analysis, so demand analysis, cost analysis, but also some simulations, for example, aerodynamic, which is also always quite interesting from scientific point of view. And that's why also here in this in this round there will be some participations from our side regarding this side. So I hope you're all as hyped about Hyperloop as we are, and it's really nice for everyone to get together here. And yeah, I'm looking forward for very nice presentations and discussions. Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone for the quick introduction of your organization. Now we're quickly gonna go over like what is the goal of the seminar and how does it work. So in general, the goal of the seminar is to provide a platform so where we can come together and talk about vacuum transport, about Hyperloop, and share it with the public, with you as listeners. We started in 2020 and it proved to be a solid foundation to do it online. So we can collect many people together, and we are already in the 7th edition. So we are very happy and motivated to keep pushing the seminar further. And in general, we always have 2 inside talks per seminar. Today, it's only gonna be one since we have the short introduction about the institutions. And at the end of every talk, we have a quick question round. And in this seminar, so this is the information still. So it's every Monday from 6 to 7. So it's not exactly every Monday. For example, next week, it's gonna be a holiday. So if you wanna be sure to know the date, you can look up the schedule on our website. Exactly. And now to the exchange round. So this year, we are gonna use the built-in tool from Zoom. So there should be an icon next to the chat symbol where probably it's Q&A for you, F&A, because my Zoom is in English. And there you can place your question. You can also hit the icon to send it anonymous, and then we can answer your questions at the end of every talk. You can also upvote questions from other people, so we know you also want to know about it. Yeah, so here you can see a little overview of the different theses you can write at the Institute of Hyperloop Technology. But as all the others already said, basically every institution is offering theses, so really just have a look at all the different websites if you're interested to write something or do research in the Hyperloop topic. And yeah, so already thanks a lot for all of you coming tonight, for listening in. And if you have any questions, always use the Q&A so we can look them up